greater sound.
Wow! Thanks to Nickelback for for writing the music.
That was awesome. Mr. Justin strikes again. Thanks, Mr. Justin. That was outstanding.
Yeah, Justin, that was awesome. That was really cool.
Mr. Justin is leader of the street team, the Doomer Friday street team, and he has been hard at work on all kinds of cool stuff behind the scenes. And that's the latest from Mr. Justin Studios. It's true. Welcome back, guys. It's the night shift. It's Friday, May 22nd, 2:03 p.m. on the East Coast. And yeah, it's true. We're going to be at Contact in the Desert next week, and we're live. Well, we're going to be doing a live podcast at Contact, and it's going to be on Saturday, 1 o'clock. So we're really excited about that. Yeah, man. The whole Doomer crew's going to be there. What do you guys think?
I'm excited.
Yeah, I hate public speaking. So yeah, I'm not set up to live stream tonight. I have to, well, not have to. I'm very much looking forward to taking my wife out for a nice dinner tonight, because obviously quite the trip happening next week. So I won't be joining you tonight, but I wanted to be here to watch that video and to also, it's a shame Thomas Jane isn't here because I'm a huge fanboy, but I will leave you guys to it. And yeah, can't wait for next week. It's going to be incredible.
Incredible. Thanks, Xander, for making sure we got off on a good start.
No problem. All right.
Bye, Xander.
Enjoy, mate.
Say bye.
Thank you. Come say bye.
And Dan's not here because he's playing GTA with Keanu Reeves today, I think, or he's jet skiing. I don't know what that
wasn't it
Leonardo?
He was playing tennis with Michael Jane Fox or something like
that. So we got Andy instead from that UFO podcast. You upgraded your studio, I see. You got nice big high ceilings in there. It's great.
I have, and I'm phasing in and out of this reality. I'm actually Neil deGrasse Tyson's basement. I'm now his bitch. So this is where Neil keeps me. It's lovely. It's warm. Yeah, I'm. The shed is far too hot. It's like 1,000,000 degrees. I would have died probably. I'm just I'm chilling in my stepson's bedroom, which does not look like this. This is, of course, a fake background, folks, with the advent of technology. Woo. So yeah, poor compared to that intro. That was incredible. So yeah, props to Mr. Justin for that. That was amazing.
That was outstanding. Big news day today. Obviously, the Department of War released the second huge batch of UFO files. We're going to be talking about those today. And of course, Andy is the author of, hang on, let me get my copy.
Yes.
A very fine book that is perfect for today's topic, the Atlas of Unidentified Flying Objects. And we're just trying a little experiment, guys. if you're interested, you may have noticed on the news, there's been a lot of information lately about Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's got a new book coming out, and it's called, what is it called? I just had it.
Take Me to Your Leader.
Take Me to Your Leader. And it's Neil deGrasse Tyson is finally turning it on the UFO thing, and he's getting on board. So he decided to put out this book, and we want to make sure Andy's book outsells Neil's book on Amazon.
Yes.
So please, if I can find the Amazon link that I just had pulled up, go there, look up Atlas of Unidentified Flying Objects on Amazon, and get a copy, because
and a review too.
Leave a review. It's awesome. It's a beautiful book. It's got amazing pictures inside. It's got awesome illustrations. I don't know if I can show all these, but it's all in there. And we're going to talk about some.
That's what people say when they're writing shit. The pictures are lovely.
The pictures are no, it's great though. It's great. Like, yeah. I mean, just the breakdowns are everything in here is just really well done, and the art is beautiful, and the way that it's laid out. One of my favorite cases is in here, the Terry Lovelace case at Devil's Den. And there's an awesome, let's see if I can get this to show. It's kind of hard to show, but you can see this is Terry's drawing of the craft, and then there's a breakdown of the case and what happened. And it's just a great primer for a lot of these well-known in some cases, and in many cases lesser well-known encounters, right? I mean, how would you describe it, Andy? You wrote it.
I would say it's the seminal book on UFOs. I think Jacques Vallée wishes he had the talent that I possess. I would say it's a perfectly good book for people like me who like to pick up a book, not have to read the whole thing, put it down. And I always like those books that you could go to a friend's house and you would like flick through it and it would be like an interesting topic. I remember years ago, I had a book where it was all about different experiments that like the CIA and the Nazis and all these different organizations had done in secret on its own people. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. But you could pick it up, read a couple of pages and then put it back down. And you didn't have to read it in any order. So I wanted to write a book like that, like a lazy one. So yeah, but it turned out really nice. Someone said Andy's review, it's a book. And it is, that is correct. It is a book. It definitely is.
It's definitely a lazy one. But a great one.
Lazy book.
Did you ever read those? I don't know if they had them over there, but the Time Life. Are you familiar with these Time Life books, Mysteries of the Unknown? This series of books from the late 80s, early 90s. You ever see these? Maybe not. This might have been just a thing in the States. Mysteries of the Unknown was this like series of books that Time Life books put out, and every month they would have a new one, and you would subscribe, and every month you'd get a book, and like one book would be. This is pre-internet, of course, people. So you get a big, beautiful hardcover book with this awesome cover design, and the art was all really well done. And each one would be like, one would be on the pyramids, one would be on UFOs, one would be on poltergeists, one would be on all the same stuff that we talk about today, but just in a really cool. And they put out like 75 of them in a set, and it was this huge thing.
It sounds like the kind of shit that someone would come to your house, knock on your door, and your parents would answer and try and sell them it for like £100 or $100. It's a 75 book collection on the pyramids, and I really don't need that. And they just pressure them into it, and they buy it anyway.
It was better than that, because it would be these commercials that would come on in the middle of the afternoon, like right after school, and I'll show you one. This is hilarious, and then this is my favorite one. So, check this out. This is Mysteries of the Unknown, 1988. Let's see if I can make this work.
Oh, someone's put its Reader's Digest in the UK. Yeah, I get that.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Reader's Digest is like for old people, though. I mean, I say that I'm 40. I'm not a child anymore, so.
Chicago. A man is about to get on a routine flight. Suddenly he pauses. He doesn't know why, but he's got to walk away. An hour later, the plane goes down in flames. It's dismissed as chance. Britain. A woman has a sudden image of a black mountain that's moving, with children trapped underneath it. 2 hours later, a Welsh schoolhouse is buried in an avalanche of coal slag. It's dismissed as coincidence. Northern Texas. An unidentified flying object is reported by at least a dozen people. Although there were no storms in the area, it's
love that phone.
Lightning. Now, Time Life Books announces an important new library, Mysteries of the Unknown. a series that explores the most controversial phenomena of our time and tells you everything that can be known. The Midwest.
That's the idea anyway. I won't make you watch the whole thing, but Mysteries of the Unknown. It's great. All right.
Penned by Sean Kirkpatrick.
We've got a great show for you today, guys. We're going to be talking about the Department of War UFO UAP file release, and then in about an hour, not even, about 45 minutes or so, Thomas Jane's going to call in and join us for the second half of the show. So we're going to talk to him about what's going on at Contact in the Desert, what he's going to be talking about there, and get his take on all this stuff. Do us a favor, hit the like button. While you're here, drop us a note in the chat. Let us know if you saw anything that was really interesting to you or that stood out. I know that we've got a few things pulled up here. Pavel, what do you think about this drop? You've been on this.
Yeah,
since,
so it was better than the first one for sure, I think. There's a few documents that I found interesting. One where they've been actively investigating green orb sightings near military installations from the 1940s and 50s. That was an interesting document there. I think I showed it to you. The videos, some of them are the ones that Corbell has already shown, but slightly longer or different versions. But I think at least two of them I identified as probably the same videos that Corbell dropped. The one that kind of looks like the Nope sort of UFO.
That disc?
Yeah, that they dropped that one. I do want to make a little comment about how, if you're new to the community, you got to put things in perspective a little bit, because the most complaints that I've been hearing about these drops come from the people that haven't been looking into this for decades. They're new to the channel, and we're accustomed to short attention spans and the high quality videos and Hollywood and all that stuff. But we don't realize that, this is like the first time ever that the government officially is labeling these releases as UFO file release. That's one. For 80 years, they denied a lot of this has ever existed. Some of the NASA drops, I know that they've been there for 50, 60 years, especially some from the first drop. But I think that people, sometimes get a little bit too desperate too quickly. I think that this is being slow fed to us is slightly better than the first drop. It's not way better. And I don't know if we're going to get even better material, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I'm a little bit ambivalent on how, it's not that much better. This
is the one you were talking about that Jeremy put out.
Yes.
This one that's up. Now, this is from Andy's X account. He put together a highlight reel. Do you want to talk about any of these, Andy, while we're showing them? What do you think about this one?
No.
No.
Yeah, so the Corbell one's pretty cool. And look, I get where folks say that could be the sun or the moon through various filters. I'm not going to argue with folks who know better than me in terms of how cameras work. I'll take this at face value that with the metadata and everything like that, we would know. I've heard people say it's an eclipse and it's the shadow of an eclipse, things like that, perhaps, but could also be a disc going through the clouds. This is one that apparently it was labeled as apparently changes shape, and it does look like it does change shape. It has the kind of look of a TIE fighter type UFO for a few seconds and then goes a little bit blurry. There are a few videos that aren't FLIR in this. Of the 50 that dropped, there's one that comes up where it's like a kind of like the Mosul orb object, but it's going over just mountainous terrain. The one on screen just now is kind of a formation of lights. Some of these videos are 17 minutes long, and nothing else really happens. And for example, this one is a longer video. I've just taken a small portion of it with the 3 lights, and you see it kind of look more triangular later in the video. It changes angle. But again, it's a lot of FLIR stuff. There is, remember, Burchett and Burleson both said in the last couple of days before the drop, don't get your hopes up. They are going to try and put in some clutter, and there is a lot of noise and a lot of clutter in amongst these videos and the previous. The shoot down one, I don't know if I put that one in here, but for me is very clearly a balloon being shot down. And I know folks are going to jump on and say it's a jellyfish UFO. It looks like a balloon with a string hanging off it, and they've shot at it. I'm guessing it's some kind of Chinese balloon spying equipment, whatever that may be, or prototype. But then it looks like there's a small object in the background. For me, the problem is which videos the mainstream run with. And I've seen a lot of people today running with the shoot down because it's probably the most spectacular. The one on screen just now with the instantaneous acceleration, this looks pretty cool because this does, again, awesome. It's from a longer, it really clearly seems to shoot off. And I don't doubt debunkers and skeptics are going to say, oh, the camera just loses it. It's actually not, it's some kind of different effect. And here's the other one I think is pretty cool because this object is shifting over that terrain at pretty high speed. And it does remind me of that kind of muzzle orb that we saw some time ago, which again, remember, all the skeptics and debunkers when the picture came out said it looks like the reflection of a puddle on the street. It could just be water, and it turned out no, it was indeed a video, and we got the video later on. So yeah, there's some interesting videos. There's nothing smoking gun. There are a lot of things in here that no doubt could be debunked, but it's a small step in the right direction. For me, it always has been drop number 3 that will show us the direction that this is going to go, because it has to get better again. If we get this again, I don't know where things go from there, because last time we got a lot more files and some videos. This time we got 50 videos and a couple of files, I think 6 of them, of varying length. Where does drop number 3 go? That for me is going to tell us a lot about the future of this whole endeavor, because that's when surely you turn up the volume or you turn it back down.
Do you think that these files are being released in a transparent way? Like, we don't know what there actually is, right? We don't know what we don't know. We only know what they show us. So because it's all being run through the Pentagon and the Department of War, there might be 10 times more than what we're seeing here. This is just what they're putting out, and they could just decide the rest of it. They're just not going to show the more interesting stuff. Do you think that that's an issue, or do you trust that as this goes on, we will continue to get more and more impressive stuff?
Well, I think we need to. The public aren't going to keep tabs on this as being impressive, because it's not really, is it? It's interesting in points. David Grush, again, the other week, knew what was coming and said himself on the interview he done that this wasn't going to move the needle. This isn't the stuff he's involved with. This isn't when he spoke about big changes coming in 90 days, for the disclosure movement, big progress. This isn't what he was talking about. So on one hand, yeah, it's good we're getting some videos. I would always rather have videos than not, but it's not exactly fully transparent. Given look at the screen right now, full of massive black rectangles and black squares covering up all the data. It's so difficult to work out what a lot of this stuff is, and I get people want to be really excited and jump all over this as it's aliens. I don't want to look like an idiot though, and I'd rather say there's some interesting videos. Some look like balloons, some look like birds. Others need a little bit more explanation. And I don't doubt within this there might be some kind of top secret tech in amongst it too. Really interesting stuff, but not necessarily NHI. I wouldn't be shocked if the folks in charge of these releases are just dumping stuff on a table and going, yeah, there you go. Because this stuff has also been redacted and stuff's been taken out of it, and you can see parts of videos where things have been clipped. One of them is really frustrating because it starts off with a really clear shot, not fully HD, but of like a massive boat, like fishing vessel or some kind of ship.
Yeah, and then it moves away.
I got really excited going, show me something flying next to this. It wouldn't have been incredibly clear, but it would have been clearer. And then it moves away, doesn't it, to a greater distance, different camera type, and then we get the dot again flying around. That for me would have been a big step forward to get something like that. But it's they're edging us, as they say.
What do you think about this think tank link that you put up in the chat, Pavel? This is X
I mean,
account think tank.
that video below is one of the most interesting videos that I've seen, but it's apparently already been debunked. But like one of the first videos I saw ever on the topic was this one, and it's been debunked allegedly, right?
But what is I mean, by who and what method and like you?
I'm not aware. I'm just like this is something that I constantly say. Like every UFO case has a debunk. Like that's almost an unwritten rule that exists. But like, you know, there are cases that are very evidently not real, but there are like some. I think I've seen you, Andy, mention that there's one video that you've seen that you think is real, one that of a UFO that is going through a lake. Do you remember that one? It's like a disc. Yeah. I don't recall which one you were specifically talking about, but you once mentioned in one of your shows that there's one video that you were hoping wasn't fake because you thought it was really exciting, but it seemed to be fake. This is the same way I feel about this one. But those pictures are really interesting, and there are many like that. You know, pictures like that from decades ago. Those are like very constant. Yeah, so I thought those were interesting.
This is this disc, this classic disc, is so clear in these photos. This looks like 3. Then this one here in these. So these were from the drop. These are scans, or is this a different photo here?
I think that Think Tank is making it seem like they were on the drop. That's why I sent them. But I don't know if they were. Andy saw the whole thing.
Well, that video is not in the drop.
No. This video, the photos though. This one in particular of the aircraft. This looks like a stealth fighter up here.
Unless it was in the actual file section, which I've not went through some of the bigger ones yet. But
okay.
Yeah, that's an.
I'm always very, you know, when the discs and saucers are so flat. Like where would you put anything in that? Even the dome doesn't seem that big. And I get like Lazar talked about the craft, and it was pretty tight knit inside, and there was small seats for kind of, but you couldn't even really fit children in some of these craft, and that's where I'm always very wary of the saucer being so flat, because that to me is more likely to be a hoax. Like it's got to have a bit of something to it.
Well, look, I mean, there's no way to tell how big the diameter actually, I mean, there's no other object in this photo for scale. We don't even have like a tree. I guess it could probably do something. I don't know. How would you know? I mean, this could be 50 feet across. That could be 12 feet thick in the middle.
It could be half a foot across.
Could be half a foot. Yeah.
It looks like the lid of a pan, you know, like a cooking pot.
Yeah.
Like, that's been thrown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could see that. I thought this video, when I saw it, the one of this disc here, it looked too real to be, it looked too good to be true. And so that was my instinct on it. But at the same time, I imagine if you were to see one up close, it would look too good to be true. I mean, if you're a pilot and you're looking out the window, what is real? Yeah, that's what a real disc would look like. Like, you know, sitting outside off the wingtip of an aircraft. I mean, what else would it look like? We're just not used to seeing it, so we have no point of reference. It's like a weird. So when I hear that this was debunked, I think, okay, well, I would be interested in seeing that debunk and understanding what it exactly is that they how they arrived at that. But I don't know. I love discs. We don't see as many discs anymore. It seems like we're seeing all kinds of other things, but not so much discs. What do you think behind that?
The phenomenon, as you go through decades, there's an element of perception management, perhaps, and the technology stays just ahead or kind of just on the boundary of what you can imagine or what you expect. So once people got used to seeing saucers, it changed to something else, and it just keeps changing and evolving. And that would that again would explain to me, not to go on a rant here, but if you've got different types of NHI and different entities, they're not all going to be doing this. Some of them will have a particular type of craft triangles, for example, have always been pretty persistent. But then you look through and go, well, are these just changing into different craft to stay ahead of our perception, what we can imagine, just to confuse us? It's the whole trickster element thing for me would make a lot of sense there.
I could see that, but I feel like the trickster thing. I'm just going to show another one while we're talking here. This is the boats. These 3 boats. I don't know if there was any context for. Whoops. Here we go. Let's do this one.
That was shown on Sleeping Dog as well.
Yeah.
That at the bottom left looked like a drone just passing by.
Yeah.
Down here, that just looks like
human drone.
Yeah, it looks like a regular drone. I mean, it's not moving. It's not doing anything that is so far out of the realm of what a drone would do. This thing that flies across looks like somebody's just shooting at these boats and misses. I don't know.
Oh, there's 2 things. I only saw the one in the bottom, but that final frame showed something going through them. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, right between the 2.
Oh.
I mean, it depends on how high up.
It says 4 UAP formation.
Oh.
4 UAP for Iran, 26th August 22 over water.
Interesting.
Arrow assesses that this video, whose uploader defined title is 4 UAP formation Iran 26 August 2022 over water, is likely derived from an infrared sensor aboard a U.S. military platform operating within the United States Central Command area of responsibility. A user uploaded this video to a classified network in June 2024. Oh, wow. Okay, here's the little breakdown. I have to say, I mean, the way they present all of this is great. I mean, it seems like it's all really well done. I just don't know if I trust the Department of War to be 100% straight with us on what exactly it is they have. And I feel like that's not going to change just because of a presidential directive. Like, we already know that a lot of times presidents aren't brought fully into the loop on some of this stuff. So why would they, why would the deep state suddenly be like, okay, we'll put our best stuff out there?
Do you get the feeling reading some of this, though, as well, that the descriptions are almost like, yeah, someone gave us this video and said this is what it is, rather than it having been already investigated to know that's what it was and that's where it came from? So you're having to take the word of a department, and some faceless person uploaded this link 2 years ago to a server, and we've got it now, and here's what it might be. It's a lot of trust. Trust me, bro.
Right.
Yep.
Right. That's my whole point. I have noticed, and Pavel, this is another clip that you sent over, and I want to share this one. This is from ABC News. And the tone of the reporting on this has definitely shifted here.
What you're about to see has never been public before. The Pentagon now releasing another batch of its so-called UFO files after they were declassified by President Trump. And this morning, we got an exclusive first look.
This morning, the GMA exclusive, more than 50 videos and other documents detailing strange objects in the sky, many of which the military can't explain, released in the second batch of the Pentagon's so-called UFO files. Inside never-before-seen video like this from 2024, the Coast Guard picking up this object as it flew near a plane over the southeastern U.S., and this taken by the U.S. military over Syria in 2021, following an unidentified object before it suddenly speeds off. The service member who submitted the video labeling it instant acceleration. Others seen flying in apparent formation. All part of over 200 files released so far detailing what the military officially calls unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP, better known as UFOs, long an object of public fascination.
They want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFO or related material.
The files made public on order of President Trump, who earlier this month touted complete and maximum transparency, leaving it up to the public to, quote, decide for themselves what the hell is going on. In the newly released records, this video from 2020, taken in an undisclosed area under U.S. Central Command, appearing to show a sphere flying over a population center, the pilot getting a closer look before it eventually flew higher off into the sky. And this account from a senior U.S. intelligence officer just last year, describing seeing 2 large orbs flare up alongside their helicopter while on a mission, saying they were orange with a white or yellow center and emitted light in all directions. Fighter jets then scrambled to identify the objects, but couldn't, the officer recounts, then writing, the same orbs we had encountered were now chasing the fighters. We were virtually speechless after these observations.
After multiple investigations, the government has found no evidence any of these incidents are of an extraterrestrial nature, but military officials admit many remain unresolved and cannot be explained. And inside these files, there were some videos that certainly were not UFOs, like one of the government shooting down what was believed to be a balloon over Lake Huron in 2023. But a lot to go through here, guys.
All right, I'm sure that explains it. Everyone's convinced now. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it.
What do you guys think about the tone of that? That feels like a tone shift to me.
Yeah. Overall, it's been like that in various mainstream media outlets. If you guys were aware, the Cannes Film Festival is going on right now. And there's a clip of Michael Fassbender, Magneto, talking about UFOs and like in a serious fashion. And I think that that's going to help also get more eyes on the topic, and that can't be bad. And you know, I get the skepticism and the frustration from some people because it wasn't really that much better. But you know, you can be skeptical without resorting to insults or like ad hominem or like a lot of people do. And I know, like, for example, that the videos that Luna, Burleson, and Burchett claim to have seen are not part of these videos that are here right now. You know,
right?
They've seen some different stuff that they're trying to get declassified. Still, it hasn't happened yet. I also want to see those 13 Air Force videos that Corbell talked about in the interview with Chris Ramsey in Area 52. He described the type of video resolution that these have. And this is like multi-sensor kind of 4K resolution videos, like that one of the airplane that is coming towards it's a fighter jet that is coming towards a drone that was released a while ago. They think Corbell made it seem like there are videos like that, but of UFOs. I want to see those.
And so what about the ones that Luna was talking about, the 46? Was it 46 videos that they were trying to get?
I think a lot of those are these.
That's what these are.
Yeah, but
do we know which ones are of that list? How many total videos?
The ones that are from also Sleeping Dog and that Corbell has leaked are part of those 46. But there are like separate batches that Corbell wants to get out, and Luna too. And I think that this first one of 46, I don't know why they're doing it like this, man. Honestly, like
that's what I mean. Something doesn't
this slow drip. Why? Like,
well, it's that too, but it's also yes. Why the slow drip? And I understand why from the standpoint of like bureaucracy, right? Because I think Hegseth addressed this early on, and I'm not his biggest fan, but whatever. He said, look, it takes a long time to go through all this. The personnel have to be assigned to it. It's just man hours. And then it's like getting it through the pipeline. Okay.
Something that I did hear, though, is that they're scraping metadata, and that's what's taking them a little longer. I don't know how to feel about that, because if you scrape metadata, that also means in some cases that you can't really trace the provenance of the video.
Well, we saw when they did the Epstein file drop, a lot of those redactions were like, people could just remove the redactions. Did you see how that all works? So maybe they're doing a stronger pass over this stuff to make sure there's nothing like that. But this is what I think is really unusual. It's like, here we are in 2026, and we're sitting in this place where there is a Department of War webpage dedicated to UFO file drops. That's crazy. If you tried to go back in time and explain that to someone from just a few years ago, they'd think you were out of your mind, right? So that's real, that's happening, and here we are, we have all this stuff, and it's a lot of it is impressive. That instantaneous acceleration video, I don't care if all the other videos are awful, that one is pretty impressive. So you've got kind of a mishmash of stuff. And then what's interesting to me is like they're going to all this trouble to put this stuff out there, but they will not just make a declarative statement on what it is that is in any of this stuff. And I find that that's just hard for me to wrap my mind around, right? Like, we don't know what it is. Well, your job is to classify and understand what all this stuff is. So if you guys don't know what this is, either you're lying or we need to re-examine the military budget and like think about where we're spending all this money because something's not working here. I find that, frustrating. And I think a lot of other people do as well.
I've got a what if on that. So what if the plan is they've seen the whistleblowers come forward over the last couple of years, okay, Grush, Borland, Brown, all that stuff. And they don't like some of the stuff that's being said, some of the stuff that's being heard, some of the attention the public's giving this. So what they do, and like gatekeepers, is they go, okay, let's give the public a show. Let's dump out a lot of information, some spurious, some crap, some interesting little tidbits, but nothing conclusive. And then once you've got a big enough audience, you debunk it, because it won't take long to. So we like the instant acceleration video, Clint, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to feel next week if we get to see? It would be really easy to leak the actual video, and then you find out it was something else, or it was a drone, or we get the metadata leaked to a McWest or a Metabunk or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you go, the good video actually wasn't all that great. So then you take that to a wider scale of the general public, who now see it was balloons, it was birds. So you've got the big attention on it now. So you rubbish it now because that has the big impact, the big negative impact. And then when Grush comes out in 60 days and says something again, people go, yeah, but it's all birds and balloons and it's all misidentifications. That might not be the case, but the public will read the headline, they won't read the article. And that for me is a concern, that it's really easy to put lots of attention, and it's a little bit of look at the left hand, don't look at the right hand, look at the left hand, and then it slaps you in the face.
Okay, I could see that's fair. I could see that. Yeah, build people up, blow it up really big, and then just pop the balloon and let everybody walk away disgusted with the whole thing, and then you buy yourself another 10, 15 years before this comes back around again. I could see that. What do you think, Pavel? Does that sound accurate to you?
It sounds depressing.
Meter.
Yeah. What the fuck, bro?
Well, it could also be that they want to just get out ahead of it, right? And spend some time putting things out there so that when they do get leaked, if they do get leaked later, then it's not such a shock, and maybe cushion some catastrophic disclosure. I mean, I'm convinced that there is a faction that's pursuing disclosure aggressively, and then there is a faction that's resisting that, and we're probably watching that kind of play out publicly between whistleblowers and Congress, and there are these different groups. But the idea to me that the president at his level is just like, yeah, no one really knows, but I don't know, we'll just declassify all of it anyway and let you guys decide. Like, something doesn't feel right about that. That's not how this is supposed to work. Even though it's what I want, it's something about it is just not satisfying. And I think it's that declaration of, look, we do know what it is. We because that's the thing. We all know they know. We just need them to say it, and they're not saying the obvious thing, right?
But is this not like, I've said this before, this is like when you've followed a band from their inception. You remember watching them in a shitty pub with 5 people in the audience, and you heard them play like these songs that no one knew, right? Mm-hmm. And then 3 years later, they get a record deal, and now they're huge, and they're playing Madison Square Garden, 20,000 people sold out. And you're going, yeah, I heard them play this 4 years ago. They sounded better. They've kind of lost their way a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that audience now is hearing them for the first time. So we're the people watching this and listening to this,
sure,
who have followed the Arctic Monkeys since they were a group in Sheffield going around pubs carrying their own instruments in the van. And now you've got the mainstream who are seeing this stuff, and we're all going, yeah, we need better, we need more. And this is me trying to be more positive. So again, it's like this release is not for the UFO community, I don't think, to sift through, and for Clint and Andy and Pavel and all the folks here to look at and go, is this the evidence we've been looking for? This is for the general public. That's who this is for. We can comment on it. We, if anything, should be helping people navigate this. I think a couple of weeks ago when I was on, you asked about what people's responsibilities or roles are in this. And for me, it's to help the general public navigate, and people new to the topic navigate this stuff and give them different ways of thinking, with the view that they'll go on a ride. To where it goes, I don't know. I feel right now, and I don't want to go analogy heavy, but you've got all these different paths ahead of us, and we can't see where any of them lead. And you've got different people at each tunnel. You might have David Grush. Oh God, I'm full screen. You might have David Grush at one tunnel, Corbell at another, you know, Luna and Burchett and Burleson at another, and they're all holding torches. And it's like, what tunnel do you want to go down? Where do you want to go? But you can't see the end of the tunnel. You have to kind of follow your gut. You have to go with what you like, what you know, and kind of the evidence presented to you right now. And it's a weird, strange place to be. But I think we're at that point of it's going somewhere. Where it's going to go, though, nobody actually knows at the minute, because the world is a crazy place and there's so many different things in play. Iran, all that kind of stuff, still on the horizon. So yeah, I'm unsure at the minute, but it's exciting.
So your attitude is like, wait for drop 3 and see where.
Yeah,
I've said drop 3 is going to tell us exactly where this is going to go.
Yeah. I will be happy when stuff is released that these guys, Luna, Burleson, Burchett, have been saying that they've seen that is really, really, really strong stuff. I think, I'm sorry for the dogs, by the way, can't help it. I think that for me, Burleson sounds and comes across as a straightforward, honest guy that is skeptical. He constantly repeats it, even though he's like, he said it, a born again Christian, and he has his belief system. He doesn't let that get in the way of what he's doing. And I do value and appreciate that very much. So if he's seen something that has made him go like, whoa, this has to go public, and they're fighting for that, I'd much rather wait until after that happens to pass judgment, because there's a lot of people from the very first drop that were already like putting this up in flames and saying that it was going to be shit, all of it. It's like, dude, we just started. Calm your tits.
Look how far we've come in just the last few years. This is what I'm saying. It's like, how much more mainstream could it possibly get at this point? Like as you pointed out, you got, Fassbender's being asked about it, and everybody's being asked about it. People are talking about it on every show, every podcast. Jillian Michaels just had Lou Elizondo on, and she had like a complete mental break. I mean, it was like a whole, every week now. It's just, I know it's not everywhere, but it is way more well covered than it used to be. And there's so much action in the space. It just seems like every day now there's something new.
I'd love to talk about the Jillian Michaels thing when you get a minute.
Yeah, let's talk about it. What do you think about it? Did you watch the whole thing?
People looking for something again that wasn't there. I didn't see the whole. People were sharing clips saying she was close to tears. I saw someone who was way out of her depth, having a conversation. She had no idea where to take it, and hearing stuff that just had her looking off screen. Really, really, really confused. I didn't see any shock. I just saw someone who was a mile out of her depth and should be sticking to sports nutrition. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. What did you think of the Jillian thing, Pavel?
I differ from Andy. I do think that that's like the general reaction you would get from somebody who's not on the topic, who would go like, "What the fuck am I listening to?" But that comes along with a little bit of shock, because if you don't know what it is, and because I presume that she believes what Lou Elizondo is saying, even though I don't, some of the stuff that he says, I don't believe, but she's like a quote unquote normie, and having those types of reactions is something that we're going to keep seeing from people who are not on the topic. The thing is, we need to have a better source of the information to get to these people. The more accurate one, because it's not going to be the same reaction if you, for example, put like, I don't know who's dealing right now, Karen Austin, who is like a person that I do respect in the field, talking about abductions and the whole spectrum of them, to somebody like that with that level of following who's not on the topic. I want to see that reaction way more than I wanted to see this one, because I know what the source is from this one. And I'm not bashing on Lou. Like, he's done a lot for the topic historically, but like right now, I don't think he's the person to be the one communicating a lot of this stuff. And especially if you're talking about accounts of other people, like the MyLabs case, that's an account from somebody else that he heard. And,
right.
You know,
right.
It's not really stuff that he's like completely privy to, as he claims that he's privy to a lot of stuff, but this is not that. And if you talk about MyLabs, that has a lot of holes in it, a lot. You guys know this. So, you know, I want to see this lady's reaction if she talks to somebody like Karen Austin, for example, just to give you one.
So she looks constipated.
She does.
I mean, she looks like she's upset to me. She looks like she's having a hard time with this. Like, she looks like a normie who's hearing some really heavy duty stuff right now. Let's see what he says here. What's he saying?
Reminiscent of Russian KGB methods of operation. In fact, there was in London again, there was an individual several decades ago that was very vocal against Russia. And so what they did is they had this one of their assassins had an umbrella. And at the end of the umbrella was a tiny little spike. And what he did is he wound up jabbing it into the leg as if he was falling and tripping. And inside that spike at the very end of the umbrella was a little tiny capsule of ricin with 1 grain of ricin, and it wound up killing him. There was before him another example, and it might have been with Leon Trotsky, where they used a cyanide gun. Someone was sitting in a park, they had a newspaper rolled up, and inside there was this little gun that would fire a capsule of cyanide, and they'd basically shoot it into the face of one of their people, and to murder them, to eliminate them. There was another gentleman, Gerald Bull.
She looks pretty stressed out to me just hearing all this stuff. I watched a lot of this. What's that?
It doesn't look natural. And I know people are disagreeing with each other in the comments. I get some folks are agreeing with me and otherwise, but I just, people are saying, like, there we go, Andy is way the fuck off. She was shocked. But that also to me looks like confusion and not having a clue where to go and overreacting in some ways. Like, he mentions a cyanide thing. She goes, yes, what? She's so out of her depth in that conversation. In the same way, if you brought in a quantum physicist to speak to me about, you know, the mass of a black hole, I'd be like, I don't know, but it's not ontological shock. But
we got a different read on it. Though.
Yeah. Chrissy Miller says it's obvious acting and over dramatization. Mystic Rose says acting. No Sparrow, she's losing her shit. SV Harkin 6907. She always looks like that.
Is that implying it's plastic surgery?
She believes everything she says. Look, Jillian looks great. All right, come on. I have her yoga DVD from 2006. I've still got. I was watching.
You got Biggest a little Loser. Crush, huh?
I mean, but Jillian, she looks great, and I don't know. I just think it's a lot. It's a lot to take on. And when you hear somebody like Lou Elizondo presenting this information, given, you know, her producer obviously researched Lou and presented her, you know, like, this is who we're going to be talking to. You know, she's treating it. She's taking it seriously because of who he is. But I don't know. I think you're right to point out, Pavel, that some of the stuff that he's referring to, he's giving a lot of weight to, but it's things that he's heard elsewhere. These are not like just Lou exclusives. These are like the whole MyLab thing is a big, weird gray area. Military abductions, for those people who don't know what MyLab stands for, military abductions. And it's this idea that people who have been had encounters of one kind or another with some non-human intelligence then also have follow-up encounters, sometimes with human military personnel, or sometimes during an encounter when they're on board a craft or in some kind of facility under hypnotic regression later, they will recall seeing humans in military uniforms working alongside non-humans also in some kind of uniform. And so this term MILABs, or military abductions, kind of came into the vernacular to describe that phenomenon. And there is a researcher named Carla Turner, who I talk about occasionally on the channel, who I really like. And she pointed out in a number of presentations that she gave, one in 1995 at a MUFON symposium, and she was talking about MILABs. And I think what seems to make the most sense to me is that people who have been abducted are then being monitored by elements of our military or intelligence apparatus. Like, these people are being picked up by aliens, something's being done to them, they're being monitored by our guys, and then our guys go in and pick them up too and try to figure out, well, what did you see on board that craft? How many beings were on board the craft? Interrogate them to try and get some intelligence out of them. And then you would still have to cover that up somehow, and then you've got this person who's been abducted twice. What do you guys make of the whole MILAB thing?
I think it's far too big a conversation to have on that platform with a host who isn't a UFO person. This is my worry. When you go too deep, too hard on the UFO conversation, you put people off and you drive them away. I've said before, and it's no hit on experiencers, but you cannot sit on live TV in Congress in a hearing and talk about abductions yet. It's too much for the public. You will drive them away. They are not ready to hear some of that stuff. It's dangerous. And remember what Lou used to be like 5 years ago in his first interviews? I think his third or fourth or something like that, right? And he was quite reserved and quite stepped back. And you look there, he's sitting on an interview again, I'll just remind folks, with a sports nutritionalist, talking about all that stuff that a few years ago it seemed like he would not talk about. He wasn't going there. He wasn't going to do it.
Right. So why? What's changed? What is happening?
Well, he's doing these to promote his tour. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but he's not doing a lot of other podcasts anymore, is he?
No, just a couple. Like, he did one with Stephen Diener this week.
Yeah.
Again,
I'm not sure what it's about or what it's for, but I get he's got the tour to promote. But it just seems like it is a swing, regardless of opinion. There's a fact. If we're dealing with facts, what Lou would talk about to what he talks about now are very different things, and I'm intrigued to see what the change is there. I'd love for one of these people who speak to him to actually ask him that.
David Voigt says, at the very least, these drops are helping to reduce some of the stigma and ridicule, referring to the Defense Department drops. And Brendan, just another super chat here from Brendan Ledbetter. I think you guys are overthinking this. There's likely a ton of information to go through, and we know how organized and efficient the government is. I'm honestly surprised we've gotten this far. Great point on the drops.
Yeah. I don't disagree there.
They made it happen. It's here. That's important. That's progress. I honestly, with the Lou thing, I don't know what to make of Lou, because I don't know what I'm looking at. Am I looking at a guy who is an active intelligence operative that is out there trying to pursue an objective by doing perception management on the public and making sure that he's saying certain things to certain groups to keep the topic within a particular Overton window? I don't know. I do know that it seemed interesting to me about a year and a half ago, maybe it was less, but he was on News Nation with Ross Coulthart's Reality Check, and they had it was Ross and Lou in DC, and Lou had a picture of a implant that had been removed, and he was showing it to Ross, and he was like, "This is a photograph of an implant that was taken out of a guy, and when they tried to take it, it moved, and it was like trying to evade the surgeon when they tried to take it out." And he started to open the door to the discussion about abductions. And then he quickly closed it, and we didn't hear about it again. And now we're hearing about it again on this interview, which I agree with you, Andy. It seems like a weird, out of context, I think Jillian's producers are like, look, he's big right now. He's on tour. He's promoting his thing. We can get him. here's a good guest for your show. And then they just threw her in there and she's trying to figure it out. But at the same time, I also think, what is his, it can't just be to sell the book and sell tickets to the tour, right? Like there's got to be more going on here. Or is there? Don't know. Am I overthinking?
No. And I can't say either way. I'm going to sit on the fence because you do have people who are in the camp of Lou's an intelligence asset and he's gone out on his own. I always felt 5 years ago, all these folks, and we talked about Clint, yourself and Dan joined me on my show a couple of days ago, and it was a great conversation because we didn't all agree on stuff and we have different opinions, and that's why you guys, what you do here is so good. And I said to you 5 years ago, it seemed like Lou was the tip of the spear and all these other folks were behind him. And and this isn't just at Lou, but they've all gone their separate ways now. Coulthard does his own thing. Knapp and Corbell do their own thing. Lou does his own thing. At one point, they were all much closer. And then you can add your Mellon, Nolan, Grush, Bart, all these folks round about. Everything kind of split up. That could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I don't know. But again, like I say, end of the day, Lou always said, follow the data. You don't have to believe him. And he said on multiple interviews back in the day, don't just listen to me. Don't just worry about me. It's not a personality thing. Look at the data. There was a time Lou wouldn't talk about stuff. He's talking about a hell of a lot more now. I would love to know why. That could be preparing people for stuff. A lot of the issues people now have who were Lou fans is the chandelier picture, the irrigation circle picture. Those are body blows to credibility.
Yeah, and also hinting at an event in 2036 that I think is a major blow on credibility. And he pushed it for a little while. He said comments like, we don't have the luxury of time. With Matt Ford, he alluded to it, made this little game with the cup and all that shit. That stuff for me affects credibility too.
And see, to be fair, Lou got accused of when he said, come back in 5 years. And a lot of folks jumped on, Lou's given timescales. All he meant by that at the time was, if you don't think enough is happening right now, I think it was 2021 or 2022, if you don't think enough is going on, go and take a break, come back and look where we are. And to be fair, from 2021 to 2026, that 5 year period, if I asked you, Clint, to do a show on it, you'd be here for days and days and days just going through all the events that have happened. It's crazy. And that's why Pavel does 12 shows a day now.
Right. This is my whole point. Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. It's like overload almost. By any, if you've been in this space for any amount of time over the last like 10 years, just that last decade, and you watched how fast this is accelerated. I was just talking to one of the people from Contact, and they're in crunch mode getting ready for the show next week. And they were telling me that this is the biggest show they've ever done by a lot. And they were just like, I mean, something like 200 plus volunteers are working on this show. I mean, it's an enormous undertaking to pull this off. And I said, well, what's going on? Why do you think that is? And they were of the mind that it's just the zeitgeist now. We have gotten to that point now where this is the underground band that no one knew about is no longer the underground band, but they're not worldwide just yet. We're in this like in between phase. It does feel that way.
Yep. I think like old timers are happier than us right now. I've gotten a lot of messages from people who, claim to be abductees, claim to be contactees, that they're like, what are you talking about? Like, this never happened before. Why are people like, and it's what I'm telling you, we're accustomed to a different pace than people in the past. They didn't have this. Yeah. They didn't have this crazy news cycle that changes every 5 minutes. And there's shocking stuff happening all around the world. It always has been that way, but the attention is different now because there's phones everywhere, and we're sort of spoiled when it comes to just consuming content. And that's where the frustration from a lot of these people comes from, with that they want immediate results right now, the like smoking gun, And I get it, but yeah, this interesting phenomenon from people who are like old timers, 80, 70 something years old, and they're like, this never happened before. And they're amazed at how much advancement there has been. And I know that, for example, Dr. Stephen Greer, in the past, he put a lot of people forward, a lot of whistleblowers, a lot of people that came with really shocking information when I saw it first. But this official sort of capacity, and, you know, people like Dylan Borland and David Grush and Matthew Brown, that, I don't know, it feels to me that they're not lying about what they think they saw or the information they were exposed to. And there's just way too much people within the military, within the IC, within the scientific community that have also seen stuff, that are also experiencers, that are also taking this seriously now. And, you know, I don't know, focusing on the same stuff always, instead of like really sitting down and moving back, watching everything from a different perspective. I don't know.
I think people are spoiled. I agree. I used to have to wait, like, you know, it was like weeks and months between any kind of news coming out of anything. And even then you didn't know the if what you were looking at was of any quality. It was all tabloid journalism at that time. And the fact that there's just so much now available. I mean, war.gov/UFO, that's an official government website. Look at all this stuff. CIA stuff in here, PDFs. I mean, there's a ton to go through, and someone rightly pointed out in the chat that it's going to take some time. And this is just what we're seeing, of course. But I do think the message is being managed for sure. And maybe they're hedging their bets by putting some of this stuff out the way that they're doing it. We have a chat here from Jeff, super chat. Jeff0997 says, I don't believe humanity is in contact with another civilization. I think it's all drugs, human trafficking, and psychological operations. Ooh.
Fair comment. Disagree, but it's a fair comment.
I think it's both.
You think it's both?
Yeah.
What did you think about Hal Puthoff's appearance on Diary of a CEO? Did you watch that?
Yeah.
It was good.
Andy?
Hal said the things that Hal Puthoff says, and I think he kept it. So, like I was saying before, with Lou Elizondo going on Jillian Michaels and dropping a lot of kind of hard information, I thought Dan Farah and Hal Puthoff kept it a little bit more scaled back on Diary of a CEO, where they're happy to say, look, yeah, we believe from people we have spoken to in the military-industrial complex, there are potentially at least 4 alien civilizations that we have been in touch with, but they didn't go into lore, and they didn't go into like granular detail and they tried to stay away from a lot of speculation. And it was, we've spoken to people who say they have been involved in this, and here's the credibility, here's the character of those folks. It was like, we'll take you to step 1, step 2, but we're not going beyond that. And I think that's the kind of way to approach that. If you'd gone on to Bartlett and been like, well, I'll tell you what, Stephen, we've got 4 alien civilizations. We've got mantids, greys, we've got this and this. Now, the mantis guys, like Clint, we talked about the other night, they wear these weird robes and have this jewelry. And actually, let's talk about my lab abduction, Stephen Bartlett. Bartlett's going to be like, no. And I tell you what, people might say his face at that point would have been ontological shock. It would have been disgust, confusion, and embarrassment. So you have to pick and choose your audience. And I think that's what they done well on Diary of a CEO, because what you've done, you've not convinced anyone there are aliens or UFOs or even necessarily a cover-up. What you've done on Diary of a CEO is open the door to say, come and have a look at some of this stuff. Almost you're allowed permission to approach this topic and have a look at it without feeling stupid. And that's what some of that audience will do.
Yes, it's a highly educated audience. It's a very cool audience. It's a great show. And he's got
17 million.
17 million subscribers. This is unbelievable.
That's crazy numbers.
Gang, I have to interrupt here. We have a special guest joining us who I'm very excited to introduce. He is a UFO researcher, an author, an artist, a publisher, a popcorn salesman, a very successful one, I might add. And he's my favorite Punisher. and star of The Expanse. Thomas Jane is here with us. How you doing, Tom?
Hey guys.
Good to see you.
Guys, this is great. Happy Doomer Friday.
I like that sign.
My Doomer hat on. Yes, thank you. I like the hat. I like the shirt, and I love the sign.
Nice. How you doing today, sir? Good to see you.
I am terrible today. I have an ear infection that won't go away. I'm on amoxicillin, but it's awful. It's been dogging me for days.
You ready for contact?
But it's not gonna slow us down. We've got shit to talk about.
We got a reverb coming in from your end. Do you have some headphone stuff?
I don't, but I'm wondering how I can fix that. Let me try.
I like your
Maybe
skull
there's a
collection.
button I can use. Thanks, man. What do I do?
Headphones usually are the best fix. It's just feeding back through your speakers, or turn your speakers down a little bit.
Yeah, I've done that. Is it still feeding back?
A little bit. It sounds like.
Isn't there a thing on the audio? Sorry, guys. I'm not.
It's okay.
This isn't my day job. It's okay. Echo cancellation. Reduce.
That might work.
Oh, right. I see. It says browser not supported.
Oh, there's your problem.
For background. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm on Safari because when I go on to Chrome, for some reason, it won't find my camera. Let me ask my kid if she's got some headphones.
All right, we'll come back to you, Tom. All right, I'm gonna mute Tom's channel. Here we go. All right, we'll see if Tom's able to figure it out. Where were we? Yeah, the CIA, or not, the Hal Puthoff clip on Diary of a CEO. Let's take a look at this clip, because actually Thomas has a book coming out called A Human's Guide to Visiting Aliens, and it touches on this, and it's I think apropos. Let's see what Hal Puthoff had to say. Here we go.
Generally set aside as being, just manufactured by humans who get caught up in this sort of a give and take on social media and so on. But nonetheless, when you really zero in on actual evidence of technologies and evidence of bodies, there you can't just say it's it's just social contagion.
When I'm thinking about the technologies, when I watched like the Tic Tac video, it's kind of blurry and I don't really know what I'm looking at. Like there's this thing moving around on the screen that's like black and white, but I don't really know what I'm looking at. And I think this has always been the struggle with it, is we're so used to consuming content in high definition that we can clearly, and it appears to be the case that so many of these UAP videos are like in the distance and kind of blurry and vague. So it makes them harder to believe. And I think we're all longing for like a solid video. You talked about them going in and out of the water. How come someone's not if someone like falls over, and we capture it all on camera these days, CCTV cameras on every high street. Why is there not like a solid video of something going in the water and out the water?
Look, multiple people said on camera that they have seen with their own eyes classified videos that are indisputable. And some of them told me specifics, like that story I told you, the first video Jay Stratton was shown when he went down this rabbit hole. It was a triangle craft hovering over a nuclear weapons site. Air Force security guards had filmed it on a little VHS camera that they had. It was hovering long enough for them to do that. That kind of evidence exists, but it's just still classified.
Will it be coming out, do you think?
I hope so. I know this process is playing out right now where people like Jay Stratton are helping the administration find where the evidence exists so they can get their hands on it and then determine whether it can safely be declassified. Like that process is definitely playing out right now.
Do you trust the Trump administration to release all of the available information?
I don't think it's a question of do we trust the current administration will release it. It's do we think all these federal agencies and branches of the military are going to turn over the evidence they have to the administration? That's the question. And the jury's still out on that.
That's a great question. I I thought this was the clip where he talks about the species, but I guess I don't have that one pulled up right now.
He says verbatim, there's 4 different types of life. He doesn't mention like specific species. That's something that Dr. Eric Davis did last year at the UAP panel. But I think that they were essentially talking about the same thing, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think, right? Yeah, Andy?
Yeah, I believe that was the case, yeah. And Bartlett has said what everyone in the general public is thinking. These are just blurry videos and dots. We've got the context, we've got the background, we've got years of research and watching interviews and finding out this stuff to know what's coming. For them, they're seeing it for the first time. They're watching a black and white video. And to Bartlett's point, they're looking on an iPhone 17 Pro or a Samsung 55, whatever the fuck they've got. And they're watching all this 4K, all these movies, all these TV shows, and then they're jumping to what looks like a 1970s CCTV footage of a bank robbery. And they're looking going, this dot is a UFO. And we're going, maybe. And he's going, show us this stuff. And that's where we're like, that's what the public need to see. They'll only look at videos of dots for so long. Because what they don't also want is what the public probably won't do, unfortunately for guys like us, is join live streams and watch podcasts to hear us break down. Now, this is from Iraq 2022, August 26th. And what you're looking at here is sensor footage of 3 boats with a crap. They're not going to do that. They want to see a video and within 5 seconds make up their mind. Are they going to watch the next 5 seconds? Not, do I have to go and do some research on this? To Pavel's point, the news cycle changes like this. Swipe, swipe, swipe.
Tom, what do you think? Did you look at the stuff that got released today? Have you had a chance to digest any of this? Sorry to make you put headphones on when you got an earache too. That's not the most fun thing to do.
You're muted.
Oh, you're muted. I muted. I'm sorry. I muted you. Let me unmute you.
There you go.
Oh.
You muted yourself again?
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah.
We did it. It was so smooth the first time we did this, but yeah. Go ahead.
For the past few days. I think it's the worst thing to ever happen to human society.
What?
Controlled government disclosure.
Oh.
Why do you feel that way?
I think it's happening. Do you want to get into it?
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of dots that we need to put together. In my opinion, they are the most obvious dots, right? We don't know much. We do know they're here visiting. There are non-human intelligences that have been here for centuries, but the threat is that they're not non-human, they're non-local. It's a non-local intelligence that utilizes non-local technologies and effects. I think we can agree on that. We don't know how, but there seems to be a connection between anti-gravity or gravity and electricity. There's a bridge. That bridge is probably non-local. And in that non-local or non-locality, there's also this consciousness element that gives these entities the capacity to read our minds, to communicate with our minds, to control our minds. This is something that's just being sort of brought to the surface now with telepathic autistic kids who are giving 100% results in these experiments, these telepathy experiments. So if we say that they're here, they utilize non-local effects, and these effects upend our notions of scarcity. Our society is built on resources, stuff that comes out of the ground, oil, land, and material goods. This has made a few people overwhelmingly wealthy on this planet, right? If you look at the Earth and you divide it in half along the equator, And the top half of the planet is green with a few mansions and forests. The bottom half of the planet is choking with the detritus of our industry, right? That's about it. I think it's 46% of the world's wealth is controlled by less than 1%. So these people control the world that we live in, and their control is based on scarcity and resources and land and material goods. So we have to ask, they've been hiding this for 80 years for a very good reason. And it's not just the oil, it's not just the minerals, it's not just the empire of dirt that we have created. And we're all participating in this system. We don't really have a choice. We could, live on a boat and eat fish, or we could live in the woods and eat berries. But if you're not doing that, you are contributing in some fashion to create this planet that benefits an extremely small number of people that control the narrative. Aliens with non-local technologies upend all of that. So we have to ask, why now? Why are they rolling out a controlled disclosure now? Well, obviously, like you were just saying, the iPhone 17, the social media, these things are becoming impossible to hide. So what they have to do is control it. So what are they controlling? In my opinion, non-local technologies, which include zero-point energy, anti-gravity, and mind connection, effects that merge minds together, destroy the paradigm that we have created. So how do they stay in control? In a world where we understand these technologies exist, where scientists are already looking up at the sky, even though they're not saying it on Fox News, some of them are, but even though they're not saying it in academic papers yet, they're asking themselves, if they are here, how did they do that? What is missing from our understanding of physics that would allow us to do that? And that bridge is a gap that needs to be controlled and closed as soon as possible. And how are they doing that? Data centers. Flying to China and meeting with Jinping, or whatever his name is, saying we need to be the world leaders in surveillance and control. Because once this new system is employed, it completely destroys our paradigm and makes us obsolete. We don't need leaders anymore. We don't need government anymore. They have seen the future. It does not include them. So they are closing the trapdoor as fast as they can to maintain control of the paradigm, even though they are no longer necessary. So that's why I say that controlled government disclosure is the worst thing that could possibly happen to the human race right now.
Because it's a sign that we're getting close to this changeover? Is that what you're saying, or is it more than that? Once
we have 500 companies that kind of run the system. Once those companies need to shift from a scarcity, resource-based economy to something else, that economy includes free energy and non-local effects. Once that happens, they're not necessary anymore. We don't need them anymore. We have the internet. We have, what's it called? The crypto encryption. We have encryption. We have the means to connect ourselves together enough so we can cut out the traditional government and corporate control structures and create a distributed society and a distributed economy. That destroys the paradigm. So moving to control that paradigm now through AI surveillance, digital currency, digital ID, is the only way to maintain control in a society where we're no longer killing each other over oil, where we can connect with each other. And I think the non-local aspect, the mind properties of this technology are more dangerous than the anti-gravity zero-point energy stuff.
So do you think that we're going to see genuine, real, substantive disclosure evidence at some point coming from the federal government, is this more
rolling out? This is rolling out now. It's a process, and it has to, once it starts, and it started, and you could say that it started today. There's an argument to be made that the first one was just sort of the opening, and now it's started. It might take a year, it might take 2 years, but it has to be short enough so that our academics and scientists don't go, hey, I've got a paper on how they did that, and then distribute the means for us to take these technologies into our own hands and create a distributed society that no longer includes the hierarchical control systems that have made a very few people very powerful.
So by putting this information out now, the way that they're doing it, they get out ahead of this transition.
Have to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
You have to get ahead of it. This is coming. If we're left to figure this out on our own, and this slow saturation happens where people are slowly turning toward the light, and we do this by ourselves, then you have people like Amy Eskridge saying, hey, I've been working on this for 10 years and I've cracked this gravity thing. Not only that, but low energy nuclear reactions have been cracked, and MIT was hiding the data, and Eugene Maloff was about to publish that, and he was beaten to death outside of his childhood home. Mm-hmm. There is a long list of people who have cracked this technology over the decades, and they've all been taken care of in one form or another. So that's a trickle over decades. What we're about to see is a flood of institutions, of academics, of scientists, of genuinely good people who are educated and want to change the world, now have the guiding star, the North Star. It has been done. We do not have a complete physical model. We can connect those dots between where we are in the third law of thermodynamics to where they are. We can link that chain together and free the world. Before that happens, the government needs to clamp down on everybody so that they can stay in control. They're no longer going to be needed in a world where we don't have to fight over oil, where we're not trading and bartering, and countries have power or don't because of what lies underneath their feet. Mm-hmm. This is a completely different world we're looking at. They've seen it. Yeah.
Thomas, I wanted to ask you something about that, because there's something that I've been trying to think over at how it would work. Because for me, the investigations that I've been doing, a lot of the people who are like part of the control disclosure movement, they're also moving towards, or they seem to be moving towards, getting like a first dibs sort of opportunity when it comes to contracts and all that stuff. And they don't seem able or willing to try and make the paradigm shift, really. They want to keep the materialistic paradigm as it is. They want to keep capitalism as it is, even though it's a flawed system, just like socialism or communism are. They're all flawed.
It's all going to change, yeah.
You know?
I agree.
But what I want to know is, how do you think that would come about, trying to change the paradigm? Because I think that is the thing that would probably disrupt everything and affect us directly, everybody. So how do you go about that?
Well, I'll tell you how you don't do it. You don't do it by inventing a engine that separates oxygen, that separates H2O, and then uses it as a fuel source, and then put it on the news, and then patent it and tell everybody you've changed the world. And then the oil companies come in, try to buy it, and when they can't buy it because you want to distribute it to everybody, they kill you. That's how you don't do it. You don't do it by Amy Eskridge, who says, you know, I've cracked this and I want to share it with the world. And I am under NDAs and I'm going to break them because I think this is more important. And then they take her out. How do you do it? You do it by locking down the world and changing the entire system slowly. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's the only way to do it and maintain the power structure that exists now. The way it should be done is we should have these conversations, and academics, scientists, physicists, engineers should all be getting in on the conversation, cracking it on an open source platform, starting new companies, building the machines, distributing to the third world countries and to every city in America. And just like we built the railroad, just like we built the electrical grid, we slowly roll out a distributed energy system that no longer relies on resources, but actually extracts energy from what physicists today say is impossible, the fine structure of the universe, right?
And then you kind of make it for the public good, right? You roll the technology out for the common benefit of all humanity.
Yeah, that's the way it should be done, but somehow it just never works out that way. I've got a list, an incomplete list of at least 14 people since, you could say since the turn of, since 1900. T. Henry Moray would have been one of the first, I think that was the 30s, with his Swedish stone. Who have demonstrated this in front of as many people that want to come and look and kick the tires and do all that. I mean, it's all been done. And every single one of them has ended up in a bad way.
Tom, real quick, there were a couple of people in the chat are mentioning that you've got a little crackling coming through your mic. Is there a loose wire on your end or something?
Or maybe your internet signal, maybe.
Yeah, my internet's usually pretty good, and I'm sorry about this. I don't know if it's maybe the headphones I'm wearing somehow.
It's because Xander's not here today. That's why. It always happens when Xander takes a day off.
Always happens, yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I wish I was more technologically inclined. Let me know if there's anything I can.
Oh, we lost him.
It sounds like potentially there's a loose wire inside the headphones, I think, that might be causing the issue. That, like the actual cable inside the headphones. That crackling is like internal. That's not the cable. It's either that or the internet signal, but
someone in the chat says he should reboot. Try a reboot.
Speak now.
So yes or no?
You're good. You're better.
Can you hear me or not hear me?
Yeah, you're better.
Yes,
you're better.
Sound is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I can't. Okay. Now I can't hear Pavel. Pavel, say something.
Hello? You can't hear me?
Yeah.
La 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 la.
I guess there's a delay.
Yeah,
there's a delay. Anybody else seeing that delay?
I've got a delay too on my end. It might be an encoding thing or something on your side. Can you do a quick reboot and come back?
Yeah, either that or it's the men in black who don't want us talking about this.
It's the men in black. It's deep state. They're after you, man.
I hope they're after you.
Hope not. Hope not. It sounds better now. Hey, are you excited for Contact? How you feeling about that?
I feel really good about it. It's your first time, right, Clint?
First time. Can't wait, man. Very excited.
That is great. Yeah, it's a wonderful group of people who are we don't have to argue and have the sort of the lower level conversations, or they're all moving on in so many different interesting directions, which makes every day fascinating. The great thing about this thing is there's so many threads. There's just so many different avenues, it's I like to say that all roads lead to the palace of visiting aliens.
Oh, this is exciting, man. All roads lead to the palace of visiting aliens. Are you going to be talking about your book while you're presenting, or do you know? Have you decided what you're going to present?
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about a lot of the stuff that's in the book. I'm also going to be talking about a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now. I think the interesting thing is, the question for me is, why now? Why is this happening now? What is this rollout thing? They're obviously serious. We have to look at the narratives, that say, like, finally we have a president that's willing to buck the system and get the truth out to the people. I don't believe that for 1 second.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because it seems like that would be a first, right? Like, if that happened now, that's hard to believe. But there's a article that just came out on Market Watch the other day. This is something I was following from kind of way back when, but it got more ink the other day. Check this out. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but Trump administration backs nuclear fusion as company tied to Trump invests in it. Trump Media and Technology is set to merge with a fusion power company as the broader fusion sector is seeing a new regulations and receiving boosts from the White House. And it's this company called TAE Technology, and they make these reactors. Right. We know the Department of Energy is somehow behind a lot of this technology that's been reverse engineered, and we know that there's definite economic incentive to bringing some of this stuff out. My sense is that there's a profit motive at work here, and they're like looking at some of this technology, saying, if we could declassify some of it and then roll it out to market, we stand to make trillions of dollars on this. We can't lock it up forever. And you can't admit that you have something that shouldn't exist. Now? So yeah, fusion reactors power the data centers. That's what I think.
Pavel, you turned me on to one of the great new contact cases, Dr. Parada. You turned me on to Dr. Paul Parada. And I went into, you provided the links to the researchers that had, done the interviews and the research. And JJ and the Spanish ufologist. And I think that that's one of the most important stories of the 21st century.
You know what happened there? Because I know I was sent a few of the studies that were done with DNA and all that, and I realized that even royalty from Spain was trying to get involved in the case. And what happened there was that Paul seems to have been invited to a Jaime Maussan event, and that's when he cut communication with pretty much everybody right after that. So I don't know what happened there, because Jaime and I don't really get along that well, and he has a biotechnology company, so I don't know if he offers.
He has a what? A biotechnology?
Yeah, he has a biotechnology company.
Jaime?
Yes, he does. That's how he made his money. I
thought it was like vitamins or something, or was it?
No, he does. He has that too. It's called Biomausan, but he has a major biotechnology company in Mexico City, and a lot of people who work there are from UNAM, which is the biggest university in Mexico. And when I saw pictures of Parada with Jaime, I started asking him. I was like, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to be there." And he just stopped responding to me. He stopped responding to people from South America, and apparently he's now with Jaime. So I lost track of the case. I know it was a really interesting one.
Okay. Yeah. When did this happen, Pablo?
It happened back in 2019, according to Paul.
No. When did Paul Parada cut contact?
About 2 months ago.
2 months ago. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. Are you guys familiar with the story, Clint and Andy?
No.
No.
What is the story with?
So it's this Bolivian doctor who during a disaster over there, he was attending to patients who were
the worst wildfires in South American history at the time.
Yeah,
2019.
And he claims that when he was at a medical practice right there in the disaster zone, he claims that a person who seemed Nordic looking, kind of androgynous, approached him, and he had like a gash on his shoulder. He said that like a puma or like a cougar had like hurt him, and then that he needed attention. He realized that Dr. Paul Parada realized, according to his account, that he started hearing his voice inside of his head. He was like, "Whoa, what is this?"
So this white guy comes out of the woods, the wildfires, and then says, "Hey, I've been wounded." And Parada's a doctor. He's there to help anybody that's hurt in the fires. And he goes, "Okay, where have you been wounded?" And he shows him this gash. And Parada goes, "Man, it's deep and it's long." And he goes, "What happened to you? How did you do that?" And this tall, white, blonde man wearing a skin-tight blue suit telepathically says to Parada, it was a baby puma. It was a puma cub. And Parada's like, what the fuck just happened? This dude his lips didn't move, and he freaked out. He thought he was going to die. He thought these guys were there to kill him. And the guy said, "No, I need help. I need you to stitch this up." And Parada's shaking the whole time, because this dude is spoken into his mind. But he does. He sews him up.
And you know what's weird about it is that after I reported on the case, I know that there was probably something to the case, because initially I didn't really believe the account. I just reported on it. I found it interesting. But then I started getting calls from biotechnology companies from the US who wanted to know more information about that. And I was like, why are you guys? They're like, there's a race currently going on of like trying to get this type of technology. And I'm like, whoa, what the
Trying to get non-human samples?
Let me finish the story really fast. So Parada freaks out. He sews him up. And then the dude stands up and in perfect Spanish, Castilian Spanish, speaking now, he says, "Don't be afraid of what you're about to see." And Parada's like, "I'm going to die. This dude's going to kidnap me." He knows this dude's an alien now. He's like, "I don't want to go wherever this dude wants to take me." He grabs a pair of scissors and he tucks them in his sleeve. And the dude, the Nordic, opens the door, and there's a 40-foot black flying saucer hovering over the trees with no lights on, completely silent. And underneath it, standing on the ground, are two small beings. Two small, you call them grays, but they didn't have big heads. They had black eyes, but the eyes weren't larger than normal. And when they started moving, Parada said they looked like robots. So they were biosynthetic beings that were there to meet him. And then the guy walks off toward the craft, and Parada's like, "Okay, I'm done here. I'm going inside." And the Nordic turns around. Paul says he gave him the Terminator sign and said, "Thank you, Paul." And Paul had never told him his name. He'd never, he wasn't wearing a name tag, hadn't said his name. Paul freaks out, runs back into the shack, locks the door, starts smoking like crazy, stays up all night. And then his whole life fell apart after that. He kept it quiet for a couple of years, but then he started having experiences, dreams of him on a craft and being operated on by little biosynthetic beings. And then he would wake up with bruises where his dreams said that he was being operated on. They were sticking tubes in him. He had bruises on his back. He photographs all this. Finally, he can't take it anymore. They're doing this over and over. So he goes public. He loses his job. People call him crazy. And if I'm right, Pavel, all over South America and social media, this thing took off. And so he started doing interviews. JJ Benitez he's the Jacques Vallée of Spain, gets a hold of this, flies over there, says, take me to the shack. I want to hear the whole story. And Parada says, you know, I've kept that gauze with his DNA on it, his blood. I've got that being.
That's the wild part. He showed me pictures of the blood in the clothing. And honestly, man, before I was called by these people from the US biotech companies, I honestly was thinking this guy just wants money from whoever can give him money. But then I got that call and I was like,
right,
what is happening?
Wow.
That is wild, man. Yeah. So 4 labs tested it. They said Benitez had the money that's expensive to get all the DNA testing by 4 top labs in Paris, in Brazil,
Barcelona, Bilbao,
Boston University, Barcelona. They all came back sample error. This is not DNA that we understand. None of the computers could understand this DNA. On further analysis, 72% of the DNA is human. The rest matches nothing else on our planet. 4 top labs. That's why I think Pablo
I got the
is getting
papers.
these phone calls.
But were they able to pull a sample of DNA and actually like?
Dude, he sent samples to a lot of these labs.
Has Gary Nolan seen this?
When I was talking to him, he was like, I can send you a sample if you want. I was like, hell yeah, do it.
Whoa.
I'll pay for it. I don't care. And that's when he cut communications. Right after he told me that, I saw the pictures with Jaime Maussan, and that's when he cut communications.
That's when it changed.
And right after that happened, I got the call. Like right after. It was very strange.
Did he describe when he was sewing the guy up? Did he describe if it was more or less like a human arm with human musculature and blood that looked normal like regular blood?
That's a great question. Great question.
He did say that it was. No. Yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
He's looking at this dude's arm, and he notices, he looks at the guy. It feels a little soft, and there's no hair on his arm. And then he's right next to him. He looks at his face. He's not clean shaven. There's no hair on his face. He's definitely a man, clearly very well built, good looking, Nordic, extraterrestrial, a human alien that could walk down the street or be a Calvin Klein model. And Fabio. You never know, but he's completely, but he doesn't shave. He doesn't have to shave.
Right.
He doesn't have to shave his chest.
Wow.
So the interesting analysis from the DNA that came back in for all 4 labs was that the chromosomes were female, not male. So they were looking at a sample. If you hadn't met the being, all the indicators say it was a female.
That's why I said it looked androgynous, because of that.
Wow.
Right.
Still really a delay.
The other
still crackling a little bit. Your mic, by the way.
Yes, that's just a little bit of crackling.
Everybody's got it. I'm noticing a delay on everybody. Maybe it's me. If you guys hearing
it, you're on dial-up. That's what happened. It's a dial-up.
No, I'm not on a dial-up.
The Nordic. What do you guys think about? Andy, I know you have a question I want to come back to in just a second, but just to button up the Nordic thing real quick, because I always find this really interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of resemblance between what the ideal Aryan, the concept of the ideal Aryan from the German World War II period would look like, and it's very similar to what is described as a Nordic type being, like big, tall, strong, blonde, blue-eyed people. This pure race. I mean, is there any? What do you guys think about that? Does that play a role in any of this? Just the way that similarity seems too obvious to ignore.
Andy,
in terms of the whole Nordic, any kind of entities being named, it's difficult, especially when you're talking about something like this this gentleman's encounter, because it's one that seems to have some really good evidence, but similar to the mummies and all that stuff, it's not going far. And I know, Pavel, we've had multiple conversations with folks, and I know there are some folks who are so adamant that those mummies are real and everything, but you just feel in this day and age where we're literally on the precipice, it seems, of getting some kind of progress with disclosure, capital D disclosure, something that incredible, something that, you know, biological markers, signatures, DNA would be a smoking gun, and the medical community largely don't want to go near it. And for me, that's a bit of a strange one. And then, so in terms of like Nordic beings, I do think we've got these different races clearly involved in this, or different types of species. I do get the argument, though, around why they're all 2 arms, 2 legs, you know, humanoid looking. Neil deGrasse Tyson's latest book has a whole thing about that at the beginning of it, around why that's such an issue for people. And perhaps it is just that is the dominant form when you evolve, that is given you the planets we live on, the type of planet we live on, that 2 arms, 2 legs, it works. It's just the best way to be. But there is that whole thing of why don't we look a little bit different? I don't know. It's a strange one. I hadn't heard that story before, so it just sounds like if there was that type of material, there'd be a route to go down with it. And it's the same as the mummies. It just seems to go so far and then stop at cool story territory.
Yeah,
well, I think that's why a lot of medical people aren't looking at it, right? It's like it's based on a cool story, but it's just a story until you have. I mean, even if you have a sample of blood that you could analyze, well, then what do you walk away with? Like,
I did show the documents to my wife, who's a scientist. She's a biologist, and she knows about DNA, and she was like, "This is weird. What is this?" I'm like, "Why? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem like it's like human or animal or anything. So what is this?" And I told her, and she was like, "That's interesting. You gotta follow up on that."
So take it to Jesse Michaels.
I'm curious about like
no, see, I'm serious on that. Like, you know, I'm not saying you're going to be able to take it to Trump and, you know, all those folks in Luna, but take it to Jesse Michaels.
Getting it out of Jaime Maussan's hands is going to be impossible by now.
Well,
I think.
Pavel, there's an issue with a lot of stuff that's, I hope it's incredible until it's in Jaime Maussan's hands, and then no one can get a hold of it. So a lot of things go cold at the end of Jaime Maussan's trail.
Yep.
JJ Benitez was controlling this. It would be weird if somehow Maussan had wrestled it out of Benitez's hands. I think that this kind of information is up against forces that we don't truly understand how powerful they are and how disruptive this information is. We are looking at a very well thought out control system that needs to either destroy, incorporate, or ignore any threats to that system.
Yep. I think that, for example, because there are many cases like this that you always hear them, like the Jonathan Reed case, for example, that Maussan also touched it, by the way. You hear the initial story and it shocks you and you go like, holy shit, this might be real. I saw that video when I was little, and then more elements of the story come up later, and you go like, oh, so maybe it wasn't what I thought it was. That's the way I feel currently with that specific case. Hadn't he gone to Jaime and then just ghosted everybody as he did, I would have taken it more seriously. But right now, I don't. I mean, unless he really comes up with, open source kind of dissemination of information, and not just for a specific few, which is a major issue in ufology. I think this exclusivity of information, it's one of the biggest issues there are. I'm just gonna like stay on the fence on it. until I see something different or a different type of activity. That's why I told you about this Jaime Maussan connection, because that kind of did it for me. It was like, okay, so you're ghosting people now. You showed me a lot of stuff that seems to be consistent, but you ghosted people right after you went with Jaime. And who knows what Jaime told him, like if that guy is also looking for a smoking gun and he hasn't found it in his entire career, he's probably very desperate to find something. I think that's why he was pushing the mummies for a while, and he still is. So I don't know what tactics
I think
he
these
uses
labs have just come out, right? The labs have just come out with the initial reports. This is all kind of new stuff, so we don't know.
I've had it for. I've
what
had
the next steps are.
those documents. I've had those documents for at least 4 months now, and since
I mean, in academic terms, that's new. As far as getting a paper published or peer reviewed and all that stuff, I mean, that can take a couple of years sometimes or longer. So it would be great to see that these things are being taken seriously and somebody's writing a damn paper about this stuff.
Well, I think that's what you see at the Soul Foundation. We're crossing wires here. I think the Soul Foundation, I mean, that's really their whole purpose, is to create some academic cover for serious researchers to come in and look at this stuff in a serious way without ridicule and without any kind of judgment. And I feel like that's a building block that's being put in place, nice. Very, very purposefully to help people digest disclosure as it continues to go on and on.
Yeah.
Clint.
Yeah.
My StreamYard says that it's uploading the recording of this chat. Is there a way to stop that?
I don't know. Can you pause it? There might be a little thing you can click next to it.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, I was looking. I was just wondering if you knew. I'm gonna.
No, it's the upload that happens as it's happening. It uploads the cloud recording as the show is happening, so you can't stop that.
Yeah, you're kind of StreamYard's kind of fun.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't need the recording, and it's eating up my space on my computer.
That's what's going on.
Anyway, I'll figure this out. Yeah, maybe if I could stop it. Let me jump out, and I'll try to jump back in.
We've got another clip we'll go to while you jump out. Okay. Yeah, what I was getting at earlier with the Nazi thing is just like there's obviously a weird history with Nazis and UFOs, right?
Yeah.
And the ideal Aryan, is a tall, Nordic-looking, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, muscular person who's very, strong and this whole ideal thing. That's an obvious connection. It seems to me like there's a very obvious connection to what we describe as the Nordic people. Is there? Do you guys know of, or am I just seeing a connection that's not really there, or is there some kind of historical crossover or overlap between German interest in World War II in UFOs and what we describe as Nordics?
So there's like there's been conversation about this real society that allegedly was having some sort of contact with these beings. That's just lore to me. I don't consider it fact really, but it has been talked about quite extensively. There's also that on the Joe Rogan interview with Tom DeLonge, he talks about Roswell potentially being a German craft. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the previous batch of documents that dropped, there are a couple of documents that do discuss some kind of propulsion technology that the Nazis were working on that seem very familiar, and I don't know how deep that goes.
The
that
bell?
rabbit hole.
You're talking about the bell?
Yeah, that was one of it. But I saw also images. Correct me if I'm wrong. I saw also images of like tiny little saucer type of devices that were photographed, and that was part of that. And I've never really wanted to go down that rabbit hole that much because it feels very much like lore, like the whole Find It Hitler show from this guy Tim Kennedy on, I don't know if it's like the History Channel or Nat Geo or something like that. He goes like throughout South America trying to find clues that Hitler survived and escaped and went to live in South America. That also, for me, it's in that bucket of that. Like, it's fascinating, but like, there's no real palpable evidence that you can go, oh, there's a connection there.
It's a very interesting, correlation or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there's a bigger question that I wonder about. This is I'm going to show another clip here while we're talking. This is somebody had a question on the chat earlier about this. Pentagon releases the STAR video. This was, hang on a second. Where is that? What do you guys think about the pointed black star from the UFO Files drop? Do you think it's fake or a camera flare?
I think you have to pull back and show the full video that shows what looks like some kind of parachute in the top left-hand corner.
Yep.
I know people say there isn't, but I'm sorry. Like, there's a big thing flapping about in the top left and left-hand side of that video. And if that's some kind of parasail or whatever it may be, perhaps.
You're talking about up here?
Yeah, you can see it coming in and out the top left-hand side. Look.
Right there.
Yeah.
It looks like it's sensor burn. Like there's something bright that's burning the sensor and leaving like a CCD burn or something. Oh yeah.
See?
Right there.
Like, so I'm told there's nothing there, and that's blah. You're telling me that's not like exactly the shape of a parachute. And again, I'll go back to, I don't want to look like an idiot and say, no, that's not there. But sometimes a spade's a spade.
Yeah, that looks just like a parachute right there.
So I don't see that as a star-shaped UFO. That looks like light bouncing off it. Again, no camera expert, etc. But
that's clearly a parachute, man. Clearly.
Could that be a flare that's just blowing around in the wind and getting picked up and kind of...
Yeah, I've seen people say like things like iridium flares and it's dropping down, and it's getting blown around and it's being filmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder about, during the period when the Soviet Union collapsed and George Knapp in the immediate aftermath of the fall of the Soviet Union went to Moscow and was able to smuggle out these files, and he got all of this stuff and provided it to Congress. And I wonder, this is a case where you have a superpower that literally implodes, right? So they had a pretty high-end reverse engineering program, or at least we're under that impression based on what George Knapp was able to get out of there. If that's the case, then what happened to the UFO program during the breakup of the Soviet Union? And what happened to all of their technology, all of their personnel, all of their scientists, all the people who weren't getting paid during that time when the government shut down? So I'm thinking about in the United States, I imagine we have a pretty massive program. Even if it's smaller than we think, it's probably still has to be pretty huge and have an enormous footprint to do the kind of work that it would take to shoot down, recover, retrieve, and reverse engineer a bunch of different craft, right? If there was something at parity with that in the USSR at the same time in the late 1980s, and then you have the whole government falls apart, presumably that whole program is just thrown into chaos, right? And up in the air. The armed services are, you don't know who's on what side anymore. The whole thing is falling apart. The intelligence community, the military is going a different direction. It's just a complete mess. So I wonder how much stuff we got out of there.
Pick up the phone and they go, "Hello, Mr. America. Yes, I have good program I could be selling you."
Yeah.
Can I come to you? We are clusterfuck right now, and we have big UFO. Yes. You
yeah.
How much?
That's a good Russian accent.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck?
It's amazing.
Sorry, that was South Carolinian. Did that come across Russian?
You should have gone into acting or something, dude.
No. But why not that? So, Hunt for Red October style.
Yes.
Jumping over the border at that point. Yeah. So for me, that would potentially make sense. And then did the US get a leap? Because I'm sure at that time, to your point then, Clint, really good point. If you're the US and you see the Soviet Union and the state it's in, you make a move proactively on those folks to say, look, this is going to shit. Come over to us. Bring what you've got. What can you give us just now? We'll sneak you out. We'll make sure your family's okay. We'll get you over, but just give us what you have, and we'll carry this on over here because you guys know what we've got some stuff and we can carry this on. So that would make sense.
That's the most interesting aspect of the whole history of this thing to me is like you have this period where the USSR just collapses and that a bunch of stuff changed hands. These guys had to be, like you said, they call up the CIA or be like, look, I got, I'm part of this program and I got some element 115 here. Get me out of here. Give me a nice place.
End of World War II, all those Nazis, all that bad stuff you done. Look, I know you done some terrible, terrible things, but you're a clever guy. Come over and work for us. Bring your family over. You'll be fine. Here's your new name.
Operation Paperclip.
Yeah. And you had the T division. That was the division that went in after, like when the landings happened, and they went in and took the technology. So they would basically storm the beaches and the trenches after like the initial forces moved forward, and they would basically raid and find. And I'm not a historian, folks, and they would grab tech, guns, documents, as anything they could to take back. They weren't fighting, but they were collecting information and resources. So that for me would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think there had to be something along those lines that took place. And it makes you wonder, like then at that point we would get we would get a huge chunk of their program. And there are periods of time in the early 90s where people who have come forward as whistleblowers have described seeing like Russians working at Area 51 at Groom Lake. Like they're there and they're like, oh yeah, there's Russian people here. There's the guy, John Weygant, the Marine who was in South America, said he got sent out to secure a crash site. And there was a recovery team that came in with Department of Energy guys. They had DOE on their back of their jackets. And they arrested him and they took him to another base where he was interrogated. And he said while he was there, he was like, I saw Chinese people, I saw Russian people, I saw American. I mean, it was just packed full of international team on this project.
That's probably a clue.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, who is actually in control here? And like, is this some kind of like a global thing that's being managed globally, or is it really country to country?
Seems like a supranational organization that's sort of working underneath, Yeah,
it has to be.
Everything is fixed now. You no delay. You sound good.
You sound great. Man.
Good. Yeah, I'm sorry. Was that a pain in the ass? Listening to this.
There's just whiny people in the chat sometimes, but I don't pay too much attention.
Yeah, it's fine. We occasionally have some.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
No,
it's all good.
How are you on time?
I got another few minutes, and then I'm going to jump off. Yeah.
Yeah. We're probably. Are you guys good for another 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm good.
So, when we wrap up here, last 15 minutes, let's talk about Contact. That's what's coming up next week. We're all pretty excited about it. Tom, you started to tell us a little bit about what to expect. I mean, how many years have you been going?
This will just be my third year, my third presentation, and my third year. So it's been a lot of fun and education. There's so much going on. You don't have time to do it all. So pick your battles, look at the schedule, choose sort of what sounds interesting. But while you're there, you'll discover all kinds of new stuff too. So, have a plan, but stay loose.
Is there anything particular you're looking forward to? Any speakers?
I never fail to miss Paul Hynek. He always talks about really interesting stuff having to do with the intersection between consciousness, DMT, and Bitcoin, which is a really interesting sort of intersection where these heretical sort of movements in our society that have revolutionary power and why they are being so suppressed. We see there's a connection between the suppression of psychedelics and the UFO. And consciousness studies, and ancient wisdom, like the Khmer Rouge in the 70s when they killed like 25,000 Buddhist monks. Like, why are you killing the monks? Because power.
In Mexico, it happened too. There's the investigations I'm doing about Jacobo Greenberg. He talks about it in different interviews where he's like, there are bloodlines from the Aztecs that the Spanish conquistadors completely obliterated because they were afraid of those bloodlines specifically. So it's been happening for a while. The Inquisition also is another example of that, where they eliminated part of the psi gene that is in everyone. And this is like actual documented scientific studies done by people like Dr. Dean Radin or Dr. Julian Mosbridge or others who are on the field. And I always scoff at people that go like, there's no evidence of like psi phenomena or psi genes. I'm like, the fuck there isn't, you know, it's very documented. There's a lot of peer review stuff, over decades. I don't know what evidence or what documents they're trying to look at, you know.
They ridicule psi. They ridicule the possibility of visiting aliens for the same reason, because these are huge threats to the power structures and have been for 100 years, you know.
Yeah, ridicule or classify.
Or destroy and kill,
Yeah.
UAP Gerb just chimed in with a super chat. We got to read UAP Gerb stuff. Fellas, the World War II connection is T-Force. And the ALSOS mission, Blueprint for Early CR Ops. Oh, man. Gerb, are you speaking in code?
Crash Retrieval Ops.
Crash Retrieval.
Classic Gerb.
Classic Gerb. Classic. Retrieved materials in the USSR-controlled Germany. Okay. Not exactly
Thank
sure.
you, Gerb.
Thanks, Gerb.
So you have contact.
I wondered about the connection between the Magenta craft and that retrieval, you know.
Yeah.
The McGregor project.
The Magenta one is so weird. I mean, thank God, what, 1933? Is that right?
33, and they dug it out of there a decade later, I think, in somewhere around 44. You know, that's the theory.
Right. And
Alan
then
Dulles was involved in that, right?
Yeah.
What a weird story. Like Mussolini, and then you send in, what is it? Marconi was one of the guys who came in to help figure this out.
RS-33,
yeah.
Try to figure it out. There's a chance that the Italians may have brought in German scientists to help figure it out, which may have led to that Nazi Bell research that they were doing. I don't like the theory that there's the Nordic aliens were helping the Nazis. I don't like that theory at all. But I do think that there's some validity to bringing in German scientists to help the Italians, you know, Marconi and these guys figure out if in RS-33, what the hell is this thing and how do we use it? That makes a lot of sense. And it makes a lot of sense that we would use the war as cover to go in and take it. And apparently it was the Pope through a back channel that sort of paved the way for our forces to go in under Project McGregor and extract the Magenta craft. It's a really fascinating dot that hasn't been fully connected yet to the story of reverse engineering, you know, and how long we've had this technology and how long have we known it's a threat and how far we are willing to go to suppress it. Yeah. And why is it coming out now? It's a huge question that we all need to think on and ask ourselves, because it looks to me like this disclosure thing is real. It's starting. It's a process.
Yeah.
And I strongly believe that they wouldn't do this unless they had a really solid plan B to stay in power. What they're not doing is handing us free energy and saying, we're going to change the world, boys and girls. That's what's not happening.
Didn't Andy have something to say about that free energy stuff?
Yeah, Andy, what were you going to bring up about that?
Yeah, just I'll very quickly summarize it. We're not going to get free energy. The world is an absolute mess. There are too many continents and countries in various different states of disarray. You know, it's one thing to consider ourselves in the UK, the United States, Australia, the Western world to be civilized, but when you look at countries in Africa where there are genocides happening, you know, daily, where babies are macheted to bits because of, you know, where they're born, you're not going to dish out free energy and change the world overnight. Even that idea of free energy, right? And here's one for the doomer meter, okay? Put this up to 11. You will pay a subscription for energy. You will get nothing free. They roll out a UFO in the White House lawn tomorrow. No one's giving you free energy. There is no blueprint to give us free energy. It's such a nonsense. To me, it's such a nonsense notion that you can just pull energy out the sky. If anyone remembers that episode of The Simpsons where Homer has a daydream and he invents this cube and he can't remember quite what it is and he's trying to see in the daydream, that's about as realistic as it gets. You would pay for a device and you would pay a monthly subscription to Tesla, to SpaceX, to another company, and you would get your energy, clean energy, through them, and you would pay for it like another utility bill, like internet, like water, whatever it may be. That's how a different energy system would work. In the same way cigarettes have been replaced by vaping, that's the same thing. One thing goes, another replaces it. No one's getting anything for free because you would need companies to mass manufacture devices to control this. And even then, if you've got this new super cool, super potent energy source, are you going to give that to the same people who want to fly planes into buildings and blow up arenas or sports arenas full of people and concert venues full of people? Because that sounds to me like that's going to be putting something akin to a nuclear weapon in their hands. That's not happening. That's not how the world works. We are not set up for a civilization like that across any continent in any way, shape, or form. And that's why we can't even have Amazon drones doing deliveries, because people grab them and steal other people's stuff. It's 2026, not the Jetsons. That's not happening.
Especially in a place like my country, bro. I completely agree with that. And that's why I was talking about this. How would the paradigm change? I just don't see it like that. Right.
Well, I think it would take a generation or two, right? Like you'd have to build the infrastructure and you'd have to roll it out, and at first you'd have to charge something for it because it takes money to maintain that infrastructure. But even if you could do that, I mean, even if the energy is not free, if it's cheap and it's clean and it's really clean, that's enough. Right? You can take that energy and you could desalinate enough water to give everybody that needs it clean drinking water. You could pull carbon out of the atmosphere. You could do all kinds of shit. And think about this. When you have unlimited energy, you can plug that into your data centers and then you get unlimited intelligence for the cost of energy, which is so
unlimited surveillance. But I just became an Andy fan. I loved that.
We could do the clean water thing now, but we don't. So this whole idea that things change overnight because of aliens, we could go and give the whole third world a new standard of living tomorrow, but we don't.
Right. Yeah. But the structures that sustain and support the society will change, and those are the resource-based economy. If you've got a free energy machine and then you've got a 3D replicator that can basically atomically build, whatever it is that you need, then that changes the whole structure of society. And one way or another, that leads to a decentralization of control. And you're absolutely right about the energy. It will be controlled, but the sources that sustain it, the war, the backroom deals, the people getting rich from taking, the fruit company, that the CIA worked to overthrow the country for United Fruit. That whole system goes away and it's replaced with something else. And that something else, to my mind, is complete digital surveillance of everybody. So it doesn't matter what you know. It doesn't matter what kind of information you have. You can't do anything about it because your bank account won't work or your car will stop driving when you try to get to that conference, because it's a system of control is the only solution to counteract a system of distributed control, where everybody where everybody is connected and contributes and plays a part. So I think these two sort of future civilizations are equally probable right now, and we need to do whatever we can to push in the direction to not live. It's 1984 or it's Star Trek. There is no in between. So
I vote Star Trek.
We need to choose what we want to fight for.
I think we should leave it there, guys. That's That's a great place to pause it. I got one audience question for you, Tom, if you're all right with it.
Sure.
Have you ever done the airport test? Think if there are non-terrestrials here, give me a sign. Oh, do you ever send out a little telepathic nod?
I send out, whenever I can think of it, I do that experiment. I haven't had any results yet.
No,
but it's a great experiment. And I have faith. I think at the right time and place, we will get an answer. And the more of us start asking that question, I think will probably change the world faster than anything else.
I like to think that I already got an answer to that because I had a near-death experience, and sort of feels like something's communicating all the time.
That's how it goes. Man. The membrane between worlds is thin.
Yeah,
stuff seeps through, I think. I'm excited to talk to Diane Hennessy Powell and Julia Mossbridge next week if I can. I'm
going to give Julia a big old hug.
Wow. Cool, yeah, super cool. Changing the world, they are.
Very much so. Yeah, and Tim Gallaudet, Jacques Vallée, George Norrie, Eric Davis, of course, Jeremy and George are going to be there.
Thomas Campbell is going to be there too.
He's great for that one. Yeah.
Neat.
The larger consciousness system. Yeah, he's great.
Yes.
And then I think we're going to hang out on Friday, right, Tom? I think I'm going to see you on Friday.
I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun.
We're going to have some fun. I can't wait to meet in person.
Likewise.
I love it.
I hope your ears are feeling better too, buddy.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. We'll go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it
Pavel,
up there.
thanks again for the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Huge.
Nice to meet you, though. I hope maybe we can talk on the show sometime.
Great.
If you be my guest, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, great. Let's do it. You can get my email from Clint.
All right, cool. Thanks, man.
All right. Andy, great to meet you, man.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you. And loved the Punisher growing up. That was...
Yes.
You hear that a lot, I'm sure. But yeah.
The only Punisher.
Appreciate it. Appreciate that very much. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. We'll let Tom go, and we'll see you guys next week. We're going to be at Contact, so we'll be doing all kinds of stuff. We're doing a lot of check-ins with you guys from all of our various channels. And yes, the whole Doomer Friday crew will be podcasting live on Saturday, so we're very excited about that. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks for playing the home game. Thank you to everybody who sent a super chat. Thanks to everybody who participated in our chats. Of course, thank you to our mod squad. Planet Popstar is finally a mod, and it just took me a year to do. So finally, thanks everybody. Take care of yourselves and each other. Keep looking up. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.